Hey, Electro Rip. Just getting into it. So many machines. I've got now about 7 or 8 boxes I haven't even opened yet. Don't open them until I've got space. At least while they're in their boxes, they're safe, they're labelled, and they're easily able to be stacked and left in another room. Civlu, Miles, laptop, Bodger. Anyway, 2141. Well, yeah, straight away you can see what we're probably going to do. Someone's been into this. We've got a plastic tab there, missing the top battery thing. So I'd say someone just inspected it and went, yeah, we're sending this off to Paul. This is actually quite severe, so it'll be interesting to see whether we can recover this one. Hey, Gavin Brown, Klebo, Therese, regretting that, no, well, better it's open and I'm dealing with it now than next week. It just gets worse with every time you delay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 2v5 NAND, VREG failure. I know, it feels like this is getting repetitive, but then I'm not here for dynamic entertainment. I'm just here. You're actually here to keep me entertained. As Raj says, you're locked in here with me. Of course, you can always leave. AFM, Serge, Darius. Clevo, where in South Africa are you? And yes, all is pretty good. All is pretty good. Busy, which is good. Hey, Rilla. So if we're really lucky, sometimes when they're incredibly packed like this with junk, you do get lucky and it's just one cap that's decided to take a hike. Other times it's a colossal amount of damage and it's borderline chance of getting it. Oh, Port Elizabeth. Yeah, funny enough, I thought you might have been, because I swear I've asked you before. Yes, one place I didn't get to visit. Plenty of the other staff in my office were headed off to PE, but I was predominantly sent off to places like Durban or Nelspruit or Namibia. Mostly I spent my time in what you would call it, the Highveld and Pilanesberg. Massive amount of my work was at Pilanesberg with the game parks and Sun City. The joy of getting a phone call at 2:30 in the morning because someone's NetWare Fidelio night job didn't run properly and you got to go out there and reboot the machine. Even though you tell them, you go, reboot the machine, they go, ish, no. They're not idiots, they know not to touch that stuff. And you go out there and you reboot the machine and then you wait a few hours because they have to then catch up and make sure everything is consolidated properly. Get yourself some nice breakfast at the buffet, and then you head back for your normal day's work, dead tired. But that's okay, because you're in your mid-20s and you can do that kind of crap. Wouldn't like to try it now in my 50s. Alright, we're getting there. Nope, almost forgot the keyboard flex. Takes forever to get these things out. At least it's not as bad as others. Hey, they're dreams. Yeah, dreams. I'm thinking I'm going to have to send back all that Nintendo Switch stuff to you, because I really am not getting anybody sending me Switches at the moment. I think the problem is the price. They're comparatively cheap here relative to the typical incomes. So people really just aren't getting them repaired. At least not commonly. Certainly not up this way. Yeah, I was mostly working in the hotel industry. There was a company back then called Stocks and Stocks, and they probably built half of Pretoria back in the day in the 70s and 80s. And they built things like the Michelangelo Hotel. They built a lot of stuff, a lot of resorts, and I was looking after all their machines, networking, back end stuff, and occasionally the front end stuff. And then by the time 2000 came around, after we'd all dealt with the Y2K issue, which was not a big problem because of the fact that we all went around doing all this work, they split off to legacy hotels, and then it sort of all just, the construction arm just turned to crap. Alright, let's have a look, see what's going on here. Hey Joey, welcome. Boy, where are we looking? We're looking over here. Well, if anyone want to pick a winner, because I've got mine picked out. I do want to see what their resistance is though. Hey Martin, morning. But yeah, I've got a winner picked already, and I'm probably going to be wrong. 0.2, that's a nice sort of resistance to have. Nice and low. None of this 3 ohm stuff. If it's 3 ohms, you're probably doomed. Looks pretty good on this side. Those ones are looking pretty good too. Alright, so I think it's just the one. Yeah, here the switches and switch lights, they go for, you just don't see them broken state very much. Hey Jürgen, welcome. Anyway, I'm just gonna go for the one I think is a killer, which is this one here. It looks pretty gnarly. In fact, that inductor is almost borderline gnarly too, but we'll just try the cap first. The nice thing is, as I always mention on this, notice that the surface of the regulator is not blemished in any way. We don't have a glossy spot or a dark spot or anything like that. It looks perfectly intact. If you should happen to see them with a dark or glossy spot, or basically looking like it's suffered some heat damage, then 99% chance the nans are already gone. If it's looking good and normal, then you've got a chance of recovery. From networking tech, well, I was actually more of a jack of all trades. I actually was hired over there originally for being a web developer, because this is back in '96, and the internet was becoming a big thing. And I've always done electronics, like from before I was way long ago. But electronics is actually my secondary kind of work. Programming is my first kind of work. Although at university I did electronics engineering, and I also did computer science rather. I should make a distinction here that computer science is not the same as software. So if you're ever looking at doing a computer course, like as a master's or anything like that, do not go into it thinking that you're going to be spending all day programming if you pick computer science. It's not, well, in most cases it's not going to be that, or it shouldn't be that. Computer science is actually more of a mathematical thing. But you do use programming, but it's only there to assist in proving various projects and whatever. Okay, we've got a crack across that one. You can see that crack? That laminar crack? That's 2 in 2 days now that I've seen like that. Hey Raj, welcome. Hey Michael Chan, it has been a while indeed. How are you on your side of the world? Okay, let's see if we got the winner because no one else picked it. Well, I didn't see anyone. Yep, that is fixed. Let's see, open circuit. That's not quite right. Okay, that's the short side. We got dead nans here probably. Notice how it's 63 ohms. That's not a good sign. That's a very bad sign. We might be lucky, but most likely the NAND is dead. When you meet computer science, agree with you. After I got over the initial shock about it not being about programming, then I was fine with it. And I will say that a vast majority of the lectures, subjects that I took, still are useful today. And I think that's the important thing, the important distinction between computer science versus programming, or software engineering. Although software engineering probably would cover it too, is that what you learn in computer science, for the most part, will last the ages. Whereas if you take a course where it's like, hey, we're going to teach you DBase 3 and Lotus 123, and you're going to become a C programmer or C++ programmer, okay, they're bad examples because they still are relevant 40, 50 years on. But when you get topics like operating system fundamentals and just understanding how the trade-offs with scheduling and process management, memory management, and all the math behind it, it's the sort of stuff that really does stick with us because of the fact that we haven't really changed our architecture for computers since then, really. We're all still running von Neumann type stuff. And I did take artificial intelligence back then too. Back then we were doing Prolog though. Prolog and Lisp. I've never quite got along with Lisp though. I did like Fortran. Hey, Reggie Dixon. Read about computer science. I am a MSc in computer science after 11 years as a developer. And although a few of the concepts were known to me, it wasn't all about programming. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned about Prolog. I hated Lisp was definitely my weakest point. Prolog I wasn't too bad with, but this is, like I said, this is in the 90s, and the tools we had available were pretty limited. Flip now. Predominantly back then, expert systems were kind of like the thing. Hi, Catherine. Teslas, they were the good days with the Z80s, as you said, the Acorns and things like that. And getting the monthly magazines with the different basic source codes that you then had to try and adapt to your machine, which was particularly annoying if they didn't support the same peaks and pokes that you had. This debug, is that still a constraint these days? I don't know, because I learnt Fortran 77 and it wasn't such a big problem back then. And I mean, C was the same as well. You had to prior declare everything. In many ways, I think it's a good pattern to have, because otherwise you start creating a lot of on-the-fly variables. I mean, there's useful. Yeah, having on-the-fly variables is definitely useful, but it's also easy to abuse. And before you know it, you've got absolutely no pre-planning. You're just kind of running along, and you've got I1, I2, I3, J4, and your code's starting to look a little bit like Perl. Real engineers started in CPM. Actually, no. Oh, where did you come from? Oh, you're from last night. My first machines were Z80 machines. The neighbour had a Commodore 64, but my personal machine, first one was a Z80. Cost me a whole $99, which is quite a bit of money back then. Is Lotus 123 still relevant? Good question. There's got to be a lot of if COBOL. Yeah, if COBOL is still relevant, then Lotus 123 has still got to be out there somewhere. Like, I'm talking about the original text mode one with MS-DOS and then DBase 3. You can do quite a lot with Lotus 123, including turning it into an ad hoc database, which everybody frowns at, but sometimes you've got to do what you got to do. I didn't get into Haskell myself. I think it sort of came out after I'd finished mine. I do not like this 61 ohm business. This is going to be a 50-50. It may come good, it may not. It's probably not going to. I'm not sure why it would have shot through and killed it with the 60. Yeah, what could have killed it? And what will happen is that one corner of the NAND will light up with heat, and if you try to shave it back to try and find the source of that heat, what will happen is then it will switch over to a 3 ohm short, and then you really are dead. So you go from sort of dead to definitely dead. I think they're going to switch from COBOL to Rust at the way they're going these days. Alright. Okay, I've just got to go sweep this out outside and I'll be back. Hey Tony W. Okay. So yeah, like I said, 50-50 on this one. Actually, it's probably more like 10% chance to survive on this one. Based on the fact that out of about the 10 that I have seen come in with 60 ohms, only one has ever actually booted. And it was quite weird. I was like, I don't even know how that worked. And then its resistance popped back up to the proper kind of like 600 plus. I don't get it. I don't know if there's some sort of residual charge, which doesn't make any sense at all. It kind of makes me... I do ponder at times whether I don't understand my electronics well enough or there's some trick that I'm missing. But you know when people say hold down the power button for 30 seconds to discharge the circuits and all that, to me that is complete bunk, because that button that you're pressing, it doesn't do... it does squat. It is just a... it's just a GPIO line being fed internally by, say, like the EC chip or whatever. And you're lucky if you see a milliamp go through that thing. I think really more than anything else, it's just simply a psychological thing. Now, on the other hand, if it was legit, like the physical switch with direct connect to the power or one of the rails there, okay, fine, that makes more sense. But when they're just being fed by a GPIO line out of the EC or the SMC, then no. Martin, he's doing okay. He had a little bit of a relapse about 3 days ago, but he seemed okay. He's been eating his bickies. It might have just been that it was a stressful day. And it could also be that he actually started to pass the stone, because he's been on the stone dissolving biscuits and wet food. So at some point, the remnants of a stone is going to try and pass. So it could have been that situation. He seems fine today. I do have a couple of Dysons, by the way, I enter. We've got a V8 PET, and we've got one of those big PET ball ones. Ach, nie mehr. Fuck. Do not make me have to take this out. That would have been very annoying. I'm sort of just going through and connecting everything up, because if this is dead, then it's dead and it just has to be reassembled anyway. So I'm not really doing any work that's not going to get done. Because if it is dead at 60 ohms, then there's nothing more I can do. It's just close it up. It's a no fix. End of the road. You can't even transfer the NANds to another machine because it's the NAN that's dead. Really, Miles, you had a bad run there. They've been pretty good for us. I do also have a shop vac, which I use for my heavy duty stuff. Like, sucking up concrete dust and things like that. You try to suck up concrete dust in a Dyson and it probably will bring it to a halt pretty quick because of their HEPA filters. The HEPA filters are great, but the downside is that you start trying to suck up things that are close to that filter size limit, and you're going to be paying a lot for new filters pretty quick. Especially on the portable ones. Hey Paul, welcome, good morning. Alright, so yeah, I say 10% chance this is going to pick up, but very much likely what we're going to see is it will pick up 20 volts and it will look like it's about to run, and then it will restart and it will do it again and again and again. You could replace the NANDs if you wanted to still use the board if you can get another set, but the point, it's not really a lot of point. Most of the time if you see these boards on the market, it's going to be because they've got dead NANDs or internal shorts about the only one that you're going to find. These machines don't generally fail for any other reason, generally. Okay, so here we go. So I'll do it for a bit and it'll probably get to a 1 amp and then drop. Go to, can this be 2 out of 10? Holy shit, we actually got... Well, there you go. See, it does occasionally happen in your favor. This person is very, very lucky. And look at all the dust. Assuming it actually boots, because that was an internal system. Well, it's not looping, so that's a good sign. Okay, we've got a normal boot logo. We got a... Yep, we're alive. Alright, another person who should never buy a lottery ticket again. Because they've used up all of their luck. Freakishly lucky. Let's see, Martin, in the biolab work there was a pre-filter, a bag filter, and then a HEPA filter section for the clean room air. Yeah, when you can do that sort of like cascade filters, it is good because you can change that pre-filter every week or every day, this medium filter every week or month, and then the HEPA every year. Hey Draco, welcome. Hey Sympathy. Alright, well I guess I'll reassemble this so I can tick it off. I don't want this thing hanging around in a partially disassembled state. Is the glass half full or empty? Anyway, so we'll get it all back together. Again, this is a job where it's only for data recovery. So it goes to show you shouldn't always write it off too soon, but certainly if you do see 60 ohms, it's usually not a good sign. Is that dust your... Oh no, that came from the machine. Free dust from the machine, yeah. I've already swept out quite a portion of it. There's still plenty more left. But yeah, I'm definitely not sure what's going on there in terms of... I'd be curious to see if the resistance has gone back up now. No, it's still sitting at 80. That's very strange and it's really dodgy. I don't like it one bit. Like I said, they should be reading 600 plus. And that is with, black to ground, red to positive. So it's not like I've got the polarity backwards and it's given an artificially low value. And it's not because of the amount of NANDs that are on it. Well, I mean, certainly the number of NANDs you've got on there does change it to a degree, but you don't go from 600, 800 down to 80 like that. That's a whole magnitude drop. You don't do that when you're just going from 2 NANDs to 4 NANDs. The math does not add up. So I'll probably advise the business that sent this to me. I'll say, look, I can just send it back and you do your recovery. That's fine, but you might want to do you might want me to do a precautionary backup while it's here, because it's easy enough just to log in, do a time machine backup, and when they've confirmed that yep, all's good and they've backed up for their customer, then you can just recycle that backup drive into the system again. I just use like 1 terabyte SSDs for the time machine backups. You put the job sticker on it. Just do 1 time machine per disk, especially these days. Oops, forgot to install the heatsink screw. So this is a nice situation where it was a 1 cap pop off and replace, but you got to be careful. You know, a lot of people might watch this video and go, see, it's dead easy, and you know, sometimes it really is, but there are other times where there are complications or little traps hanging around. So yeah, you can try pop caps off and hope for the best, but it would be better if you invest a little more time and search around. So jobs like this create the gold rush. It's a bit like what happened with Rossmann when he started showing how easy it was to, say, fix 1466 backlights and things like that. And, you know, it was good. But it definitely did create a gold rush mentality. And you had every Tom, Dick and Harry opening up a professional repair shop, and they would just go along and knock parts off or swap TriStars. That one's more in the camp of Jessa Jones. So okay, it's the TriStar, and for a time it really was just the TriStar, or it was the Mason chip with the 6S 6 Plus, iPhone 6 Plus Touch Disease. That was a great one. But outside of that, if people carry on with their just naive knock the parts off, then that's when we run into problems. Your meter could move, no, because I actually look at it up on the console of the bench meter just to verify, and also in continuity mode it would change the output if it got over that. Yeah, Miles, sometimes you just got to do that. Sometimes you just get those machines and no matter what you do, they keep misbehaving and it just becomes a big fat loss center. And yeah, you're right. Just ditch the whole thing. Do not migrate any parts from it. Ditch it, run, new machine. Everybody's happy after that. Some machines are just, they're just lemons. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. There's just something wrong with them, and no, almost lost the screw. And yeah, you gotta know to stop chasing that rabbit hole, or stop chasing down that rabbit hole. Just go, no, this is a dead end. We're not going to make any progress here. Macbook Fixer, you mean like still plenty of shops that are offering dubious services? Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I get a fair number of them come in here where they've been fixed, in quotation marks, by somewhere else, and it's a freaking disaster. You know, we can't all fix everything. There's plenty of jobs that I have no clue how to go about fixing, or I just can't do it. But I think where it all falls apart is when people, as techs, get a little too cavalier, a little too brutal with their repair techniques, and they just start ripping things off left, right, and centre, and basically making a dog's breakfast of it, as they say, rather than at least sort of treat it more like archaeology, where you only sort of dig in what you have to, or what you feel confident about now, and if you fail or you don't find anything, then that's fine, because then the next person, the next archaeologist, will be able to then try their luck, all without destroying the scene, the board. Alrighty, this is good. Very happy about this one. Okay, that's good. It's good. It's good. Again, next one. We're just burning through these because I've got to be done. Why did they put personal information on this one for? I think it's someone else's sticker. I just need to cover this. Flip it over. She'll be right, mate. Come on, beep. Thank you. Okay, we got another 2141, I think. Yep, 2141. Everybody's like, another one. It's like, that's my bread and butter. Hey, Brads. How's it going, mate? How's your repair situations going over there? Anyone breaking their guitars by playing too much Stairway to Heaven? Maybe some Metallica trash? No, just kidding. Maybe AC/DC Thunderstruck. Oh, gee, you just see them sitting there with that. It's like, nope, stop it. How do you keep your screwdrivers in there? Oh, Tony, I've got a 3D. I can't really show it, but I've just got a 3D printed 2 rows of like two scalloped rows. I can't take them off because they're glued to the bench. But then all I do is I just throw them down and they just fall into the little scallop and it keeps them in place. It's easy, it's effective, it's right there. I can just, grab them. They're not in a roll. We've got a missing screw. We've got someone's been chewing at this one. We've got someone put a sticker on here. It's been cleaned, which means they were, and the shroud is jammed. And they've knocked the caps off. Okay, so someone's knocked the caps off. This is probably dead. Because I probably went, yay, it's an easy one. Knock the caps off. Whee! Ooh, valve testers. Yeah, that's crazy stuff I don't get involved with. Valves are spooky things. Trapped souls in those things. Alright, so we've got a 0.1, 0.2 short. And now if they haven't been able to relieve that by knocking the caps off, then it's very likely what we have here is an internal board short. So I guess we'll take it out. That's my guess. They're probably going for an internal board short. There's not a lot you can do. This is, however, one situation where if you do have a suitable receptacle board, you can migrate the NANDs and the T2 and the ROM across, and you might get your data back, but you're also probably going to be paying $2,000 odd for the attempt, of which is entirely non-refundable. And I support that. I think, it's important that that is non-refundable, because that's a hell of a lot of work. and there's a pretty good chance it may not even work. It's kind of like if the surgeon doesn't fix you, you still got to pay the surgeon. It is interesting that we accept that for medical services, and yet for some reason when it comes to cars, any of this sort of stuff, we somehow expect if it wasn't successful we shouldn't have to pay. Wow, that's 2 screws missing. I'm getting cranky. How hard is it for people to just, keep the screws? Hey, there's a Jim in here. Hey, Jim. Welcome. Ah, that's the person I was looking for. It worries me when you have these sort of screw mangle situations because in my opinion, it tends to reflect the greater style of the technician involved. Kind of reminds me of a documentary I saw once where some criminal, I don't know whether it was a murder or a robbery or whatever, and the only piece of evidence that they had from this criminal was an apple that they'd eaten, and they had taken a bite out of it. And there happened to be this dentist that was around who was able to deduce a lot about a person, a lot about them based on their bite mark. And through their bite mark on this apple, they were actually able to find the guy. Obviously mixed in with other evidence that they might have had in terms of timing, movements, things like that. But it was an interesting one. It was sort of like a good example of everything you do tends to be a reflection of who you are. Of course, it could have been a whole lot of crap because that was back in the pre-internet days. Whoops. And various documentaries were documentaries. Brads, have you seen that video? It's probably pretty old now, of the chap who makes his own valves by hand. I'm not talking about the Russian-Ukraine guy who makes Nixie tubes by hand. But there was one before, and this guy was like a serious long beard type dude, and he would make all his custom valves. I think they were triode valves actually, and it was one of the first videos on YouTube that really caught my attention. I think it was about a 20 minute video. Everything from the glass blowing to the just everything that they do. Hey, creature. But I don't think his valves for audio use. I think they were RF. Yeah, look at that. This is why you use tape. You use tape to hold these up so they don't get pinned under the board. Yeah, French guy. That's him, Ben Wilson. Yeah, he's a French guy. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna guess this one's gonna be a internal board short. So they haven't taken these ones off. Did they give up, or did they not realise there were more? Or did they? Well, they've definitely taken the board out. Well, it could be either of those two. Just seeing if I can find anything else that's... Oh, they did not desolder those, they ripped them off. Fortunately, they've done a reasonably decent job, but they still did rip them off. I shouldn't mock that because I rip them off a lot too. But it's different because I'm doing it. It's a different rules apply for me. So yeah, it could be one of these two caps. We saw yesterday how they can look perfectly fine and have a problem. Okay, here we go. Nice thing is, once again, the regulator is not damaged and it doesn't look damaged. Okay, one. I'm taking both off because if I pick the wrong one and I've got to go back, that means that I'm putting a second load of heat into the board. And I'd rather just do it in one shot, get both off, and then I can put them back. Alright, fingers crossed. Yay, so that's more like what we're looking for. Why didn't they take those caps off? I didn't get it. How did they miss those? They've taken the board out, they've done all the other stuff, and they didn't think to take those two caps off? I don't get it. What were they thinking? Achnia. Whenever I do that, I remind me, that's it there. You can just see the crack there. There's a YouTube video, everything's YouTube tonight for me. There's a YouTube video of some BMW professional driver on the Nordschleife, I think, is that how you pronounce it? Nordschleife? The Green Hell track. And he takes his wife for a drive in his BMW. He's a professional ring driver. And most of the way she's just like, and I'm like, oh man, that is brutal. I don't know how. I'm not sure if he stayed married after that. That was pretty rough going. And then she's like, don't brake. And he's like, oh, you want me to not brake? That's crazy. Nico, I think was his name. Alright, so we'll stick those two back on. And hopefully we'll have another happy repair. Farfus, is it? Young fella. I could have sworn she pronounced his name Niho. And he was just laughing and carrying on, and she's like, I'm gonna die. And if I don't die, he's gonna die. Oh, Q's, what? What's Q's message? What? Ah, Q's. I'm putting you through some torture right now, buddy. It's for the fun of it. I'm making you have to, don't you know, this is the way of the Jedi? Oh wait, no, it's Harry Potter Philosopher's Stone. In order to have it, you need to not want it. I'm making life hard for you. It's fun. Hear about 2 test drivers that died during test drives last year. The car flipped and rolled. Wow, no, I didn't actually see that one. I don't watch it that closely. I'm kind of more interested in seeing what the latest EV times are. I'll tell you what, I would not like to be a motorbike rider on that track. Maybe if it was just a bike day, but with cars, hell no. It's just ludicrous to try and run that track on a motorbike with cars all around. Had a blowout. Oh, yes. I mean, how do you... Yeah. I suppose no doubt there'd be some sort of serious investigation going on as to why the tower blew out. Was it an oversight? Was it bad luck? Was it... it's just... What the... I got too much air. Hey, it was... What is going on here? I'm getting used to this new flux, and I'm doing a pretty bad job of it. Yeah. Definitely not used to this flux. Technically I could leave them there and they're fine, but I do want to slightly improve. Yeah, that's good. I really need to find a way of stopping the flux from doing this sort of ooze out. Like I back up the plunger, but it really doesn't help. Because see, the plunger... To start with, the plunger is... I've got a notch in it. Because if you don't have a notch in the plunger, then you can't insert the plunger without squeezing out all the material. So you have to notch the rubber on the plunger so you can then push it in. But then what happens is you've got no drawback ability. So you apply pressure to it to get the flux to come out, but then you can't draw back. Hey, WB, welcome. What is it? Lincolnshire. That doesn't seem quite as difficult to say as Worcestershire. Or Worcester. That isn't. No one can say Worcestershire. OCD kicking in. Yeah, you gotta hide that. You can't go having your OCD kick in with this stuff, else you'll be here forever. I'm sorry. A little OCD is good, but you don't want to go overboard. God damn it, just getting the pads off those pads. Hey Tom, we need flexboard view. Okay, so they've knocked these ones off. What are you? Oh, you're also 2402s. Okay. What are these? Those are little puff caps. I'm not going to bother with those puff caps, but I will certainly put these ones on. Yeah, they're just more of the same. 20 microfarad, 10 volt. Good job. Oh, creature, okay, I'll have to have a look for that one. Yeah, because that could be useful. Because yeah, not being able to draw back is a real nuisance because of the fact that I have that ooze out. And I mean, you don't lose... It's not the loss of the flux that concerns me, it's just the mess it makes. And I have tried to... like use a stopper or something like that just to inhibit it, but to no real avail. People, a lot of the time they just put those puff caps on there just for the sake of regulations. I mean, yeah, there's always going to be high frequency noise on there, but Most of the time they're just throwing it at it so that it can pass regulations. Come on, melt. Yeah, we're good. Creature might have a better idea. But as far as I can tell, it's predominantly just like, throw 10 or so on there, different magnitudes. Like you go picofarads, nanofarads, microfarads. And just cover your bases. And if you don't pass, regulation, just throw some more at it. It's more complicated than that, but it's usually a good start. It's why in a lot of these designs you'll find there's a whole bunch of no stuff parts, pads for caps and a lot of things, but yeah, caps in particular. And it's because they're like, let's see how many we need. Keep winding it back until it stops being stable and then add a little more and then ship it. Yeah, that one, I gotta admit, I wasn't expecting that one to be fixable. I really did not. Of course, we don't know if it's going to boot yet or not. I better check the resistances. Q's, this is Tim Herman's flux, by the way. And yes, you're correct. This is me testing the other side. Oh, what did you do to me there? Okay, that's cool. Yep, these should be about 190, 150, 190. Yeah, 150. Yep, 150. Yep. Okay, looking healthy. Yep. I just like to test these because if you... Okay, so that's the 2v5 line. Actually, I think it's backwards. Because it's warm, it's reading lower. Yeah, it's good. 1K, I'm happy. How are we going for time? Yeah, we're doing pretty good for time tonight. Seem to be getting back into the flow of these jobs. I'm doing it online and predominantly ignoring you idiots. I say that lovingly, idiots. Hey, Mr. Bridge. And this time we will actually do the right thing, which is tape down that fan flex rather than letting it get pinned to the underside of the board, where it can potentially cause a short circuit with those gold contacts. Yeah, I started early today because it's Friday. I've got other things I need to do in life, but I am currently quite inundated with jobs and I've got to get through them. I don't want to be hitting Monday and saying to all the people, oh yeah, I didn't do any work on the weekend, yeah, I didn't get your jobs done. I mean, as it is, there's a few already that definitely will not be getting done this weekend. But I'm just trying to clear out the ones that I can as quickly as I can. So that's why I'm picking these data recovery situation ones, because they're either going to be good or not good, and I can very quickly sort of move on to the next one. So there's no stuffing around. Jim resembles that mark. Oh, Jim, we had some king parrots up here the other day. Absolutely stunning ones too. Just walking around, and they were in our one of our shrubs in the yard, and it was like, crikey! I mean, king parrots are just, you can't not spot them. We just don't see them very often. We get plenty of pale rosellas, and we get a lot of different birds up here. So we just don't see too many of the king parrots. And yeah, the male was in his full colour. So extremely bright red on his flanks. So yeah, it was nice to see that. Come on, let's get this screen in. The number of times that I forget to put that screen cable in, because it just rests ever so nicely above the connector, and you can go past it and forget that you need to connect it, push it down to connect, and then you boot up and like there's nothing on the screen. You're like, whoa, what have I done? And then you realise you've been an idiot and you didn't connect the screen cable. That Wi-Fi didn't snap in nicely. Seems okay. See, Solderbridge has to go and push his luck now. You could try a laboratory manual pipette. Yeah, I could try that. Yeah. Hey, Jamelin. Alright, so we've got a percentage on chance of this one going, or do you think we used up all our good luck with the previous one? Yeah, you can see it's already beading out. And yeah, I can't see, I've notched off, you can see there, the plunger, so I can actually get it in. Still, in saying that, that flux, it's going to expire before I'm even close to finishing. For me, it's more about controlling the mess, because that particular flux, it is like when you take natural rosin and you put it in alcohol and add a bit of glycerin. It has this really sort of very easily spread stickiness, and it gets on the gloves, it gets everywhere, and it's annoying. Yeah, so it'd be nice to not have it oozing out. Alright, here we go. $300, $400, come on. Why are you sitting at 380? Are you in DFU mode? We might have another DFUer here. I think we've got a DFU here. Miles, I've tried solid resin, like I've got a few bricks of the rosin, and yeah, it's okay, but I do much prefer the tacky flux. The tacky flux really is a revelation for the work we do, compared to the old days where you used to have just like this highly, very low viscosity stuff that would just run everywhere. Okay, we're stepping up on the charge, that's good. It's just we're not showing anything, and that's my problem. So I have a feeling we might be in DFU, but we'll give it a bit of time and see if we get a start up. At least we know the battery's charging, and it hasn't yet cycled, but it may not cycle until it actually tries to boot. See, that's the thing where you can get caught out. If it's not trying to boot, then it's not going to realize there's no NAND there. So you got to wait till it's ready to go. Why does DFU doesn't charge a battery? I'm not really sure. I guess that's Apple's choice. In this case, we are charging, so hopefully we have a win here. The glycerin in rosin flux is more just to make it run smoother. Keeps it a little more stable. You don't have to put it in. You can just have rosin in isopropylene or ethanol. I can't remember which one I used. But the glycerin sort of like thickens it up ever so slightly. Aging it like my Amtech is now in the bin. I just threw it out yesterday. Where is it? Here we go. There's my Amtech. That one got tossed in the bin. And that was probably a year and a half's worth of usage just there. I gave away most of the tubes that I had. I bought 10 tubes and I think I used 1.5. The rest I gave away. Yeah, it will still work, but I'm done with it. The nice thing is with Tim's Flux, this stuff is it actually is definitely much nicer on the nose. Now, it doesn't mean it's not toxic, but it doesn't go volatile as quick. So I am happy with it, but it's just a case of getting used to its behavior. Like, it doesn't seem to float parts quite the same way. This is the Stiri version, I think. Yeah, this is Stiri version. See the word there. Stiri. Is it me or am I stuttery here? I don't know why I've got a stuttering effect going on. Yeah, 2.5% of my frames I'm dropping. Due to rendering lag. What the hell? Why do I have rendering lag? OBS has gone nuts. Just stand by. I'm just going to restart OBS. So we're going to have it cut out for a bit, but I'll be back. Okay, we should be back. Yeah, we should not be having a rendering lag on this machine. Oh, wait. Feels like it's better. Yeah, maybe my CPU's getting hot. Alright, so this thing has not come up yet. So I'm going to say it very likely... Well, I'll just go plug it into the iMac and see if it shows up as in recovery or DFU. They are two different states, but for the most part it means the same thing. Someone stuffed around with it. And I do understand, people are going to try, oh well, this didn't work, let's try put it in DFU mode, see what happens. Yeah, but it's in recovery mode. Jesus. Control, advanced, revive. Alright, put that through the revive. Fingers crossed that actually revives. And you didn't drop out when you started. There might have been one little glitch in there. But I can see, like, now it's down to 0.3% of drop, which was the initial drops were just the startup drops. So, yeah. I just noticed it was a little bit stuttery on my end when I'm looking at the output screen. Like, I have my 4K screen here for the compositions, and then I've got an output screen here to show me what is actually being encoded. And it was giving me ever so slight skipping. I wasn't happy with that. Can't stand that stuff. Let's see. I'm trying to think if I can jam in another or whether I'm going to be pushing my luck. You know I'm pushing my luck. Let's see, what have I got? TDR. I don't know about you. Untmac. Let's see, someone wanted the 16-inch looked at. Oh, crikey. Rice present? Oh, man. I ain't touching that in a hurry. 1707, that will be corrosion down the left-hand wing. It's always corrosion down the left-hand wing on those things. Well, the video should be smooth. It should be, because it should be running at 60 frames per second. Alright, this is either going to be... This is going to be kind of like a data recovery situation. I'm going to pop it over and have a look. This is an A1990, which of course was the precursor to the 2141, but they both suffered the same kind of fatal flaw where the intakes would draw dust into the SSD VREGs. The dust itself wasn't a problem until you went through hot-cold cycles, and that subsequently causes condensation to accumulate on the dust, like dew effect. And that condensation, combined with the junk, dirt, would form a slightly conductive environment, which would then make things die. Okay, battery out. Doesn't look like this one's been mishandled, so that's good. Hey, one way. Okay, let's see. What have we got? 525. That's pretty good. That's good. But we. Ooh, this is not going to be. What about PP bus? Okay. Alright, so this is going to be C9082 or whatever it is. It's the one that's... We saw this the other night. It's the one that's on the underside here. Now, the trick with this one, of course, is if it has gone for too long, it will eat its way through the board. And if it's eaten its way through the board, it means the corrosion creeps up on the underside of that V regulator. And when that happens, it goes crazy and it kills the NAND. Yeah. So on the 1990s, it's more common that it's the PP bus side that's shorted. On the 2141s, it seems to be more common that it's the 2V5 side. Okay, we've got a missing screw. I just call these out as I go because I like to, when I later on look at the videos, I don't always spot this stuff. So by calling it out, it obviously becomes very easy to tell that there's a missing screw. Kind of like when playing Dota. Missing middle. Even though I can't play Dota, I suck at Dota, but I like playing Dota. I'm a very cliche player. I usually pick, what's the name? Shadow Assassin or whatever the name is. And people hate me for it. Because I don't even use it properly. And I always use my ultimate at the wrong time, and I destroy someone else's chances because I use the wrong ultimate or whatever. It's fun. It's fun for me, terrifying for anyone else who's participating in the team. But I don't ever push myself up into a higher team level. I'm always like a noob level. Okay, I found that screw. That is bad news where that screw is. The screw is right there. That was the one that was there. It's not a good place for that screw to be. But with the Dota thing, I think it's a lot of times the people's own fault. They're like, you get these skilled players who want to do things professionally, and they come on down to the noob channels, noob areas, and then they whine and complain about people not playing properly. So we're just having fun, okay? You want to have your kind of fun, you go to your area where everyone else plays your kind of fun. We're having fun down here being stupid. Because these days I'm more 7 Days to Die and Hogwarts. I don't usually play a lot of games, but every now and then I do enjoy it. I would like to try the new remake of Diablo 2, but like I said, I mentioned it before, I'm a little worried it is just strictly going to be a visual upscale, and there's not going to be anything actually new in it, so it's going to be like rehashing the same old thing, which I've already done to death, but just in higher quality. Which is nice, but it'd be nice to also explore some new things. Funnily enough, if anyone out there has played Dota 2 a lot and then has tried Torchlight, oh wow, check that out. Just a little bit of wholesome dust. Say they've got themselves some kind of animal. Looks like a dog hair actually. Yeah, Torchlight 2 was presented to me as a, wow, check that, as a new alternative to Diablo 2. But there was just something missing in Torchlight 2. I don't know what it was. This board is really seriously jacked up. I think it was something to do with the mods, not the mods, the equipment you get and things like that. For some reason in Diablo 2 you really liked getting the different equipment, and yeah, you went for the special sets and all that sort of stuff. Whereas with Torchlight, the way it was actually presented in your inventory, it just didn't stand out as to what was high value, what wasn't, things like that. Yeah, just small things that made a massive difference in the game. Anyway, I'm just going to go brush that outside because it is so bad. I'm taking it outside. Path of Exile. I've heard about that. Yeah. Okay, certainly that cap there is done for, which is the one we expected. This corner here is always the first thing to go on the 1990. Oh yeah. Now you see the trouble here is that one actually looks pretty bad, but we'll just brush that off and then try and remove it. It's a massive crack. That really went to town, that one. Damn it. I'm really going to have to redesign my whatchamacallit, redesign my fume extractor placement, because I hate the vibration picking in. Yeah, that's a pretty serious cap value, that one. But the trouble is, it may have created something more serious now. The only way to find out is we take it off and see what we've got. So that's on PP bus, and so is this one over here. Hey, Sokolov. I'm worried because there's some balling up. Okay, we got real lucky there. Yeah, we got another lucky person here. I was worried because there's like little nodules building up on the end cap, and often those little nodules are like actual metal. Trying to think of the term that's used, but anyway, they're not solder, and it usually means it got extremely hot and effectively started like welding itself in many ways. But in this case, very lucky. Let's see if we still got a short. Siddharth, it's because of the design of the intakes. Okay, short is gone, so this now technically should boot once we remove all the other crap. This is definitely a cleanup machine. Okay. I mean, look at all that. This is definitely a machine where it's like, do not continue to use it. It's had its day, like even all around here on the CE3215s. It's had its day. Be happy you can get the data off, walk away. Yeah, Statue of Liberty corrosion, yeah. Very similar. Actually, very similar because, you know, the drawing out of the copper, the leaching. Yeah, a lot of the end caps on the parts, they're all getting messed up. And it's only a matter of time before the next cap decides, I've had it, I'm out of here. It's impressive that this thing even, if this thing does boot, it's going to be impressive. It certainly flies in the face of, you know, many people like to mock MacBooks, saying, oh look, you know, one bad resistor and the thing kills itself. And the reality is that that applies to every single damn piece of electronics. If you get the right one, the right part, yeah, it's going to die. Conversely, you can take out hundreds of other parts and the thing will still keep trucking. So I guess, what do you call that, false equivalency? Not that I'm an Apple fanboy as such, it's just a reality of the situation. It's like, that applies equally well to all camps of computing. It's only just been sort of more popularized by the very vocal videos of Mr. Rossman. Yeah, and he does that more in jest and fun. Yeah, it's just a bit of a fun jab, but then people sort of take that as a very serious thing and like, nope, it's legit. This is in 1990, so it's what, 5 years, I think. A 1990 as opposed to from 1990. If this thing came out in 1990, that would be astounding, considering in 1990 most of us were still on XTs, maybe had a 386. I realise that pad is barely functional there. I'm well aware of it. So that's a 102563. So it's a bigger cap, smaller capacitance than those other ones are removed, but higher voltage. And yeah, anyway, I'm very happy for these machines. They keep my job queue nice and running. It was funny when we saw the demise of the MagSafe type machines like the 1398s, 1502s and things like that, when they were no longer being produced. And people were crying and crying, saying, oh no, we're never going to be able to fix machines again. And yet here we are, perfectly able to fix them. Just because the technology changes doesn't mean it still can't be repaired. As long as these things keep using MLCC caps or ceramic caps, I think we're going to have a job for a while yet. It doesn't matter how much Apple or anybody integrates stuff into bigger and bigger chips. They're always going to have these glue components all around that are needed that they won't integrate into the chip because it's pointless and expensive in terms of die area to put a great big cap in the chip. It's just not something you really do under normal circumstances. There are some small situations where you do that, like maybe integrated flyback converter for a boost chip or something. But for the most part, you put them on the outside, and it also means then that the people who use your chips can decide on what they're going to integrate into or what sizes they pick. So so Apple can go along and bring all this into one big chip, but they're still going to have ceramic caps around. There's still going to be bits and pieces, and when those bits and pieces die, you can fix them. Personally, I find it actually advantageous the more Apple consolidates things in, because you end up with less of these random discrete micro chips around the place, and you're mostly ending up with more and more caps and resistors. So the difficulty in the repair actually drops in many ways, unless, of course, you're a person who wants to then deal with the faults that occur when there is a problem with one of the more consolidated chips. Fine, if you want to go over that threshold, then your life's probably going to be a bit harder. But if you're just churning jobs and you just want to fix most of things, then it's not going to stop anytime soon. I need to go and brush out the chassis. How many? Okay, 9:57, 3 minutes, and we have a bit of a problem here. System cannot be restored on the device. It wouldn't get into boot state. That's bad news. So maybe it didn't come back. Maybe they effed it up. Oh wait, it might be just a bad AC2, because it is spinning up. Come on, bong. Alright, it's just coming up battery logo. Oh, of course it's going to come up battery logo because I didn't plug in any power. It was just running off Thunderbolt. I've got to go do micros injection. So next 3 or 4 minutes, just stand by. You can stare at that machine, and I've got to take the chassis out and brush it out, and then the alarm's going to go off, and then I'll give the injection, and then I'll be back. Hey Luna, where's Macro? Did I come outside for... No. Come on, where's Macro? Grr. Like, no. Catching up. Right. Fresh set of gloves. Okay, we've got an Apple logo on this machine, and we've got the usual password complaint thing. Yep, that's booting. Okay, looks like that one was a win. Yep, that battery pack is expanding. Crash safety expansion. Excuse me. So I'll just get this reconnected, tested, and then that's it for me tonight. It's actually been a pretty good night so far. We've had a couple of good successes in spite of the fact that we thought we were going to have duds. So hopefully we have a 3 for 3 situation, and I'll be more than happy. I mean, if we end up 2 for 2, 2 out of 3, that ain't bad either. When I had all the packs for Model Aircraft Shop, we would have to every now and then dispense of them, which invariably involved puncturing them after you've discharged them as much as you can. So you discharge them for a day, and they would inflate because of that. Different process for their different reason for inflation, so to speak, compared to overcharging them. And then yeah, you'd wrap them up and dispose of them. Alright, there we go. Fingers crossed, eh? We're even going to get 20 volts on this, I don't even know. Yeah, we got 20 volts, wow, okay. 600. We're charging. Fans are spinning. Apple logo, we're alive. Eee. The dust just came up in all my face, not good. You don't get to vote on. You don't get to vote on what you get to see tomorrow. You only get to vote on whether you want to show up or not. Alright, that's booted. Yep, that's good. And yeah, this one's booted too. All good. Alright, we've got 3 for 3 tonight, which is nice. Nice change. Means I get to be filthy rich for a day. I need the money so that I can build a cat enclosure out the side, a night pen, so that we can lock all the little rat bags in at around about 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. And then if they want to be outside, under the cover of the carport in the enclosure, then great. And it'll just take a lot of pressure off us, because at the moment we have to wait till about midnight at the very earliest, sometimes 1, maybe even 2 o'clock in the morning before we can draw them in. And it's only 1 or 2 of them, but it's disruptive for the whole house. And so, yeah, if we can just sort of go, hey, you want to be under the carport, in the enclosed safe area, that's great. Then we close up, we get to kick back, play some games, go to sleep, and we don't have to worry. So it'd be very nice. It's probably going to be about $10,000-$12,000 for what I want to do. The fence has to be kind of like pool fencing so that they can't climb out. So it's just going to be like thin metal gapped fencing, probably no more than probably 50 millimeter gaps between the rods. It'll have to be 1.8 meters, and I'll have to strategically place the cross members so that they can't use the cross member to launch themselves out. I mean, hopefully they won't even try to do that, but you can't tell. What I might do as an additional precaution, though, is actually put a top cap on the fence, and that way, if we feel like they are inclined to jump out, I can then mount the rolling system on the top, so that really does just stop everything. The other thing is the land slopes away, so in order to make sure that the fencing is all level, we'll have to lay blocks on the perimeter to have an even base. And then, of course, we want gates on it on 2 sides. So yeah, it's going to be a like $10,000-$12,000 project, but it's definitely going to be worth it, because if we can get our sleep back after 5 years, it's going to be amazing. The productivity should increase dramatically, and it's just desperately need to do that. So it's, as much as it is for them, it's really for us, for actually get some sanity back. Thank you, B-Blood, for see what I mean? I'm too tired. Thank you, B-Blood, for the $20. Very much appreciated. And yes, we'll put your name on a block. We'll make sure that it's above the ground. At one end of the house, it's going to be like level with the ground, but then by the time it gets to the front of the house, it's going to be 2.5 blocks. It's going to be a lot of work. I'm going to get a fencing guy who did all our colour bond work, or the metal fence. I'm going to get him in. He does great work. And at least this time I won't have to retrospectively go back and put anything underneath. He'll be doing that for me. All right. Thank you very much for that, everybody. I appreciate you all being here and keeping me entertained while I ground through my work. Good to see that we got 3 for 3 tonight. And really interesting to see that we actually spotted one where people knocked off the caps, gave up, and left us with a nice win. That is rare. It does not happen like that very often. Do not even think of basing your business on that kind of thing and saying, yeah, we'll take prior repairs. Don't do it. Prior repairs are a trap. All right. You all take care. Thank you again. I'll see you on the next one. I'll catch you later.